What is going on, everybody? Welcome to episode 8 of the Noble Steady Sort of Sports Talk. I'm your host, Tyler, here with the distraught and just downtrodden Joey. Joey, I know you're sad, buddy, but how you doing today? Feeling a little better yet?
It's been better. It's definitely been better.
I know.
Like, it hurts worse when your team makes it and they have a shot and they're in the Final Four. It breaks your heart just that little bit more. And it hurt. It hurt.
I get it, man.
That night, the last 2 minutes, I'm just watching and I'm just like, oh my God, our season's over. This is some nonsense. And then it's like, I got to hear how great Edmonton is all the time and all of this. And
well, just for those who don't know, Edmonton did in fact eliminate the Dallas Stars in Game 6 after coming back from a 2-1 deficit in the series to win 3 straight games in a row and to send our beloved Stars home packing. That is why our friend Joseph is so upset today. But Joey, let's do the people of service here. And let's break it down a little bit. What did you see in the series as of some of the highlights playing right now? Shout out to those.
Yes, NHL and ESPN on YouTube, which is a lot of ons. Like that play right there, you just see Connor McDavid just, in the words of the great Daryl Razor Ray, like poop through a diarrhea-infested goose. He just split all the defenders and watch, just stick handling through 1, 2, and the goalie. That you can't stop that. You can. There's ways to stop it, but you're going to get a penalty. So it's either get a penalty, which they were already short-handed, then you go down 5-3 on ice, or you just do your best to kind of grit your teeth and bear it. And that power play, the penalty kill, just it's like it wasn't there. The special teams is what killed them. If you ask any Stars fan, that's what they'll tell you. I think Edmonton stopped some kind of ridiculous, 20 straight penalties without a goal. And it's like, dude, how do you do that? Like, how is that a thing? You can't let that happen. You can't let that happen in today's game. Especially with
it's honestly fascinating that it did.
Especially with a team with Connor McDavid, Leon Draisaitl, Zach Hyman, like those three are going to kill you. And when they're shorthanded, they come out the box like, all right, we're just going to load it and send them all. And they had the Stars number.
Yeah, it kind of felt like after game 3, there's just a start of game 4. It felt a little bit of the tide kind of turning, but they just felt in control for the last 2 games, right? It never really felt like Dallas. It felt like Dallas just kept trying to get their footing underneath them a little bit.
Well, I think that's the crazy stat is both teams held 2-goal leads and lost them. So, even when they were up 2-0, as a Stars fan, you're still thinking hey, there's still a shot, there's still a chance. But when you're not finishing your chances in the power play and you're not, you're missing wide, like that shot right there, right off the pipe,
off the post, man.
You can't, it's so close. Even I want to say it was the overtime. I want to say it was when we went to overtime. I think it was against Edmonton. If they 5-hole the goalie instead of miss wide and hit the post and it pop out the 5-hole, that would have been game over. But, they played behind and then just couldn't shut them down.
Well, I mean, look at, was it game 1? Whenever it was when they went to double OT, if I'm not mistaken. I mean, you take that, you switch that result around to a win for Dallas, it's a whole different ballgame, right?
Yeah, they'd be playing last night. They would have played game 7 last night.
So it's a game of, and I hate to use a cliche of game of inches. You know what I mean? But it truly is like think off the post or McDavid being able to just redirect something so easy after just happened to fall in his lap, right? But hats off to him.
Yeah,
Hats
I
off to him.
mean, I'm still waiting on the GM Jim Nill to have his end of season press conference, because typically what they do is that's when they go over, okay, here's who's injured, here's who's hurt, this is what they have, and a lot of them are injuries that they play throughout the playoffs. Chris Tanev said that when he took the shot, I want to say it was in Game 5, he took a shot to the ankle, came off the ice for a little bit. When he went back on, he felt something pop in his ankle, and he immediately thought it was his Achilles. Turns out his Achilles is fine. It was another ligament in there that just kind of went, you know, that he messed up, and doesn't need surgery. He'll be able to rest. So he'll be fine. But like you hear those stories where it's like that, or you have, in the bubble year, Tyler Seguin was playing where he needed like hip surgery and knee surgery. You hear about players who are playing with bruised ribs, who are playing with lower body injuries, and that's what they call it: lower body injury, upper body injury. They've been doing that, I want to say, since 2012. They've stopped calling it whatever. Like if you have, oh, he's got a sprained ankle. No, it's just a lower body injury. But I'm interested to see what players are playing with what wounds throughout that playoff, to see if
Oh, for
that
sure.
even affected anything. But I mean, that's just hockey players, though. Some people would say, "Oh, they should just be, if they're really hurt, they need to not play." Chris Tanev said in his exit press conference, they asked him, "Oh, so if you were feeling the way you do now, you'd still be going for another 2 weeks?" He goes, "Yeah, take the leg if need be, and I'll still play."
Oh,
So
I don't disagree
that's the
with him at
mindset.
all.
That's the mindset of these hockey players. Is it doesn't matter how bad they're hurting, they're still going to go out there and do the job the best
I
they
think that's
can.
all. I think that's all athletes. I mean, I'm gonna throw an example that we talked about actually a few episodes ago was OG Anunoby when he played in Game 7 against the Pacers, right? Dude, he was nowhere near healthy enough to play, but he was like, I'm not in a grave pain. I'm gonna go out and give the best I can. And anybody that doesn't think an athlete's gonna not is not gonna do that is kind of a little bit fooling themselves because look, you only get so many bites at the apple, for lack of a better term. And if you feel like this team has a good shot of going, you give it all you got. I think the only time you really have to be like, "Hey, look, man, you're really hurt," blah blah blah, all this stuff, is if you're a detriment to your team. Kind of like OG was when he was trying to play defense. They were just going after him, and they realized he couldn't defend those guys at a high enough level, so they took him out, and he sat out the rest of the game. But he gave it a shot.
And I agree. Players. I think you just hear more about it with hockey players than you do, NBA players, because you always see NBA players. You look at the video that everyone talks about is Paul Pierce having to get a wheelchair to get out of there, which I'm going to be honest, I saw a video not that long ago, and I'm not going to like start a rumor because it's already out already. Someone said that he crapped his pants, and that's why he needed the wheelchair, not because he was hurt. He was trying to hide the fact that he crapped himself.
So I've heard the poop story before.
Yeah.
I've heard that. I haven't heard that he crapped himself, and that's why
That's what I'm
he needed the
saying.
chair.
He pooped.
Which
That's what
is
I'm saying. He
which
pooped himself because he needed uh the
I
chair.
thought they were just trying to play it off. I mean, I thought the dude was maybe just prairie dogging too hard. And they were like,
That's
"Here's a
probably what
wheelchair."
happened. And when he hit the ground, it's just like boop. Funny. Okay, so funny story. So my wife was cracking my back. One day I'm like, babe, just crack my back. And so I'm laying on my stomach, and she pushes down on my chest. And when she did, I let out the loudest fart. Right as she put it was like
Oh my gosh! Well, I
since
think
we're
we found the
talking
sort of
since we're talking
it
poop
sort of
humor, I
spark
might as well bring
spark.
that up. I did it, and I was laughing for a good 20 minutes.
Well, Joey, that was pretty crappy of you to to say that story. But you know what?
Hey,
We'll
look, it's a
allow it.
funny
We'll
story.
allow it.
It's a funny story. Just at
It is
time
a
and she's
funny
like, "All
story.
right, this works." Okay, she pushed down and then she's like, "Goes again." I'm like, "Oh my god."
I feel like everybody's been there at some point in their life where someone's been like too much pressure around the abdomen, whether it be from a significant other, a hug, or something like that, or cracking backs, whatever. We've definitely all done that, 100%.
As I'm
And for
as I'm
those who are watching on YouTube, they can see this. I can feel the glare from Joseph's lovely,
she's
lovely wife.
she's leaning out the door, just staring me down, just like, "Why are you telling this story?"
If looks could kill, I'm sure there'd be a murder scene on his side.
Uh, I love my wife.
Oh
She's
man,
amazing.
we have yeah, she is. She's awesome. She's awesome. Um, but we digress. Let's bring this back
Yeah,
around here.
back to the hockey.
Back to the hockey. We also had a another sad event happen, didn't we, Joey?
Oh yeah.
Uh,
You're making
yeah,
me sad again, damn it. Um,
Joey, we
nope.
have to report it, whether happy, sad, or otherwise. We've established
So
ourselves as a Stars news network. Okay,
so nothing is official.
allegedly.
Joe Pavelski is retiring. He has told the media in his exit press conference that he does not intend to play next season. I think the story also is that he is going to be kicking Wyatt Johnston out of his house because they are moving somewhere else. I think they're going back home to Wisconsin, where he's from. Um, it sucks as a fan because you really wanted, like, I really wanted him to win a cup. You know, he played many years in San Jose. And then I want to say since 2019 has been on the Stars roster. And, it started off slow, certainly picked up. He would do 200 tip drills in front of a goal a day, just to
Jesus.
get that aspect of his game. And I mean, listen, if I were able to find the clip of him doing this, like, you'd be amazed because think of it as, the baseball player, oh, I'm going to get this hit, but make that white ball a black puck and take a bat and it's a stick and you're just basically bunting the stick in a direction. And
Yeah,
that's
no,
what
no,
you get. I
I
actually
have appreciation for it, dude.
I have found a video of his workout of it. Prepare to be amazed. Like, this is just behind him. That's how he stands, and he's just tipping pucks.
Jesus.
That's his entire work. That's his workout when he does that. He does 200 of those a day. Typically, he stands in
Eh,
front of a goal,
trying to nudge him in.
but like just redirects.
Yeah,
And those
which
pucks
we
are
all
not
know
going.
about.
Those pucks are not going slow whatsoever.
I
Like
know they're you can tell they're putting some force behind it.
they're zinging it. So
Just a flick of the wrist.
it's it's sad to see him go, but I'm happy for
We
him and
wish
his
nothing but the
family.
best, though.
Yeah, I feel bad for Wyatt Johnston because now he's going to be technically homeless. But
Unhoused.
yeah, unhoused. He even said, Wyatt Johnston even says, maybe I can ask some of the other older guys, see if they can let me move into their house.
I mean,
Because I
hey, he's
mean,
got to
it's
be.
like Sportsnet did a piece on Wyatt Johnston and Joe Pavelski, and they talked about how Pavelski's letting Wyatt live in his house and like the benefits to it and all that. And he said, my son, Joe Pavelski's son, is 13 and Wyatt Johnston just turned 21. So he almost treats him like a brother that's
Yeah,
living with him. And, they show him going out, shooting a basketball in the driveway. His kid, Joe Pavelski's son, Nate, obviously plays hockey. Shows him kind of just, they're playing a game and Wyatt Johnston hits the whatever pipe that he hit and it bounced off and hit Joe's truck. And they're just like, it'll buff out. It's fine. It's like, I bet you if it was his kid, he'd be going to his kid like, "Damn it, kid! Like, watch the goal or watch the shoot it here. Don't hit anything else."
Have you not learned anything from me?
Yeah. So, it sucks because he did so much for the team off the ice, on the ice, that I think the fingerprint of his work is going to show with this club down the road. But again, he's done so much, he's played so much and played through so many injuries that he deserves to relax. And
Yeah.
they asked him about coaching. He said maybe little league, maybe little kid hockey, not NHL yet, just because of the love of the game. But again, it's not official. Maybe Jim Nill could work his magic and be like, "Hey, Joe, one more." But
And
there's
but if it isn't,
yeah, if it's not, then it is what it is. But
yeah,
that's a big hole that the Stars have to fill, certainly. But I think the Stars will be fine. I don't think this team's going to be that much different than it was this year. You're missing Joe Pavelski, but you're gaining a Maverick Bork. You have Wyatt Johnston, Logan Stankoven. That you have a young core coming up from Cedar Park with the Texas Stars that can keep this club where it's at. Just got to get over the hump.
and that's what
they made it to they lost in the final in 2020. They missed the playoffs in 21. In 22, they made the playoffs. 23, they made it to the Western Conference Final. 24, lost in the Western Conference Final again. So this team reminds this franchise reminds me of the late 90s, the way it was then. They'd make it to the playoffs every year. They'd compete. They'd make a deep run. Something would happen. The team in 99 won the cup. And that's what, when you're a fan of a franchise, you look at history and you say, oh, it could happen again.
You look for
similarities.
Similarities, yes.
And I looked at the 99 team that won the cup, and I said, oh, the Stars need to win game 6 and 7 to win the cup, or to make it to the Stanley Cup. And in 99, they needed to win game 6 and 7 to make it to the Stanley Cup. And I'm like, hey, look, it could happen. But it didn't happen the way we wanted it. So just gotta sit down and at least get to enjoy the Stanley Cup final and be excited. It's not my team. I don't have to worry about. I don't have to have that stress added on.
The anxiety, the oh my god. You can just be like, as a fan of hockey, I can watch this.
Yes, I can just sit down and watch it and just enjoy it.
I get that 100%.
Because
anything else?
It's a phenomenal final. The Florida Panthers making it back to the Stanley Cup final. Edmonton with Connor McDavid, or as McJesus, as some people call him, Draisaitl, Skinner. These are two really good clubs that deserve a shot at the cup. And I'm not just saying this because Edmonton beat Dallas, but
I was already gonna pick them anyway.
I think you're picking Edmonton.
Yeah, I was. Yeah,
I think it's Florida's year. I think it's Florida's year.
I mean, look, you can't. I'm not going to argue with you. I mean, I'm not going to be like, "Oh, it's a terrible pick," but I just think
it can go either way. I just feel like it just feels like Florida's come so far, and they've made it. They looked at everything that they had last year when they played in the final, and they looked at everything, and they kicked ass in the playoffs. So I think I hope it goes to 7. I really hope it goes to 7.
Well, who doesn't love Game 7, right?
Not if you're a fan of the team. Not if you're a fan of the team in Game 7.
Well, that's very true. But we're talking from an outside perspective now, Joey.
Yeah, outside perspective, Game 7, bring it. I hope it goes 7, and we can enjoy some really good hockey.
But, yeah, let's just hope for good games. That's the main thing. It can even be a sweep, As long as they're like nail biting games,
I don't want to
I'm okay
sweep.
with that.
I don't want to sweep.
Well,
I
no,
don't want to sweep.
I'm
I
just
don't want a
saying.
gentleman sweep. I want it to at least go to 6 or 7. I'd rather 7, and I want Florida to win it. I think. Plus, let's talk about this, okay? Florida hockey.
Which, by the way, Florida
Minnesota,
Panthers are in Miami, right?
Fort Lauderdale, I think, officially.
Tomato, but it's the amount of
They're in that
travel is
area.
hilarious.
They're in that area.
You heard me though?
What's that?
The amount of travel is going to be hilarious.
Oh, it's like 2,000 miles,
Yep.
2,500 or something like that. But I want you to think about this, okay? The Minnesota Wild, their catchphrase is the state of hockey for Minnesota. I'm pretty sure Florida is stealing that title. Because if you go back to 2020, think of it like this. 2020, the Tampa Bay Lightning won the Stanley Cup. In 2021, the Tampa Bay Lightning won the Stanley Cup. In 2022, the Tampa Bay Lightning made it to the Stanley Cup final. In 23, the Florida Panthers made it to the Stanley Cup final. And in 24, the Florida Panthers have made it to the Stanley Cup final.
Well, they're sure making a case for it.
Like a southern state that juts out into the Gulf of Mexico is in the Stanley Cup final.
I'm gonna stop you right there. I just want to circle back, and we're gonna go back. So, I feel like, as somebody that's from the South, I feel like Florida is its own different entity, and it's hard to call them a part of the South.
Are you saying that because a lot of people from the North retire there?
Well, not only that, it's just they just feel different than everywhere else in the South, right? Like, I don't expect to go to Florida and be able to get like a home cooked, like, great breakfast meal, right? Like, I'm not getting I envision the South as like South Louisiana,
you're thinking
like
high cholesterol.
Alabama.
You're thinking high cholesterol, good food, like I get
mom
it.
and them.
Yeah, I get it.
Thing.
But
I'm just.
You also got to think about it. It's sunny.
Geographically, yes.
It doesn't snow. I think the coldest I've ever felt it for like one day, it was like 50.
50?
So, and that's not like you're melting ice at 50.
Yeah, 100%.
But this just goes to show that it doesn't matter the location. It's just you get a team anywhere. As long as it's supported, it will succeed. Arizona for the longest time had hockey. It gets like 115. Now, I will say outside elements will affect how the ice inside is.
I can see that.
But like Dallas, it gets to 115 degrees and it's like nobody even bats an eye. It's like, oh, it's just Central Texas heat. Like,
I mean, look, we're already in the 90s here.
Yeah.
And it's the beginning of June.
It's going to be really wild. What started 5 days ago?
June?
Hurricane season.
Oh,
can you imagine? Can you imagine if a Stanley Cup final game gets delayed because of a hurricane?
And not the team.
No, not because of the Carolina Hurricanes. Like a legit hurricane, whatever the name, Burl or whatever.
I mean, hey, you put a team in freaking you put a team in Florida or in that path. That's what happens. Oh yeah. Man.
But that's just like I'm just sitting there thinking about how weird would that be to have a hurricane delay the Stanley Cup final? The Stanley Cup could be in Florida and a hurricane coming, and it's like we got to evacuate the cup.
Oh,
I hope it doesn't happen, but it would just be like, welcome to level 13 of Jumanji.
I mean, I feel like that would prove global warming though in some aspects.
Yeah, we're not getting into that. We're not getting.
No, we're not. No, we're not. Sorry, I was trying to look up to see if a game ever had been canceled due to a hurricane. I wasn't able to find it right now, but there was a game back in 1924 that between the Canadians that was postponed 24 hours due to the elements.
They've they've had games that have been affected by weather
Oh, I'm sure they have.
and then we're not talking winter classics either.
No, no, no.
Because like the most famous, I think, winter classic delay is when they played in Pittsburgh. It was Washington and Pittsburgh, and they moved it to prime time, which was like, it was, oh my god, like they delayed it. They partially delayed it because of the sun. The
Yeah.
sun was too bright at one point, and then it rained. So then that really like didn't help things.
Oh, so you get some nice, slick,
It's also like,
reflective.
I'll be honest. I've gone to a winter classic. I went to the one in 2020 in Dallas, at the Cotton Bowl. Being at a hockey game, it didn't snow, but being at a hockey game when it's cloudy and you're outside and it's cold, there's something different about that atmosphere. It's just like all
Oh, for
feels right
sure.
in the world seeing that. Like they're gonna play in no, Wrigley Field. I wanted to say Fenway. That was this year. They just played in Fenway. They played last year in playing this coming year in Wrigley. Like that's
Nice.
gonna be perfect. It's gonna snow. It's gonna be in the
Oh,
negatives.
yeah.
Like, do I want another winter classic in Dallas? Absolutely. I would go again in a heartbeat. It's just, I think it's something that every hockey fan should go to at least one time in their life, is a winter classic.
Yeah. From what
Like
you tell me,
rough
it
up,
was absolutely phenomenal.
it was so cool because it's like a historical stadium like the Cotton Bowl.
Yeah.
And it's, hey, we're going to take, this, the natural sport of this stadium. We're going to say, no, you're taking a break. We're putting an ice hockey rink in the middle. And for the one in Dallas, they had rodeo stuff going on to celebrate the Texas State Fair. They didn't have bull riding. They
Oh,
had
what about
mutton busting.
Boston?
They had
Ah,
pig
yes.
races. Yeah. They had pig races. They had mutton busting. They had a bull out there. They had some horses. They had some,
Just one singular bull.
well, they had him in the
You know, like,
corner, and it's like, could you imagine if that thing got out and just started running rampant around the freaking Cotton Bowl?
just, they're like, well, we're in Texas. We got to have a bull out here.
It was a longhorn. They had to have a longhorn out there.
There's a
But
city ordinance that says we must have a longhorn at every sporting event.
they had the statue of Big Tex. They took his boots and they put it in the stadium.
Nice.
It was like, I think about that trip all the time, and I'm like, man, I want to go back to that so bad. That was so much fun.
Well, speaking of trips, Joey, um, as recording, it is the night before the NBA playoffs. I mean, the NBA
Mhm.
finals, which somebody on this panel will be flying to. Speaking of trips, to Boston, just happenstance be for Game One. Not
We are
going to
not.
Game
We
One,
are not going to. We're
but
not going for game one. We're going for a surprise party. Hopefully, he doesn't watch this before we release it.
just
But
saying,
uh,
I feel it's a nice little segue
yeah.
into the NBA finals now.
How do you feel about
Um,
it? How do you feel about these
ooh,
finals?
so I'm gonna give you two takes, right? Who should win is the Celtics. Overall,
It's
top to bottom, better
it's
team.
absolutely Boston's to lose.
I don't,
100%.
man. Let me tell you though, Luca has been playing out of his mind. There's some matchup things in this series that I feel like the Mavs can exploit a lot. So don't get me wrong. The a huge X factor here too is getting Porzingis back. He has been cleared for Game One. He makes him almost dang near unstoppable in offense.
Mhm.
Just what he can do, stretching the floor. He's another big defensively, alters some different things. But I'm gonna stick on Luca real quick for a second, right? And the reason I want to kind of stick with Luca is because he's so not only is he tall, he's 6'9", right? He's so big that's where the issue comes with trying to guard him. Like for instance, if I truly feel like Derek White's had a great playoffs, right?
Mhm.
For Boston and played great defensively. I just don't think he's big enough, like stocky enough. I feel like Luke is just going to walk him down and pick him apart from the elbow or take him all the way to the hoop. Now, don't get me wrong; they can throw Jason Tatum, they can throw Brown, they can throw different bodies at Luka to try to make him tired. But I mean, the issue you run there is if these guys start getting in foul trouble, or they get tired out. Do you want to waste Tatum on the defensive end, where it's exhausted on the offensive end? So who should win is Boston, and that's what I'm
Mhm.
going to take in 6. But I would not be shocked in the slightest if Luka takes his entire series over. And let's not forget Kyrie either.
Do you remember my prediction for the Western Conference Final?
Oh, didn't you say
I said
was
if
it
I
6?
said if it's before 7, it would be Dallas. If it ends before game 7, it'd be Dallas. If it ends in game 7, I can see it being Minnesota. I'm going to say the same thing. If it goes 6 or less, it's Boston. If it goes to 7, I can see Dallas winning it.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's going to be a good series.
It's
Now,
going to be a phenomenal series. There's no way this is going to be a bad series.
so let me
Unless
ask you
just
real quick.
both teams just lay an egg and just like completely suck. There's no way this series sucks.
So let me ask you something. If
Mhm.
if this is my personal opinion, and I'm going to ask your opinion on this one. I
Mhm.
feel like it is a bigger disappointment if Boston loses this.
Yes.
A
Yes.
bigger failure than it would be for Dallas. I
Yes.
feel like Dallas are like, hey, we can build on this Kyrie and Luca
Dallas
pairing.
Dallas is essentially playing with house money because they weren't supposed to make it this far.
No, I think most people was like, oh, we could see them in the Western Conference Finals.
Yeah.
Probably won't
They
make it to the finals. Though.
they weren't supposed to make it to the finals. They're playing with house money right now. They have nothing to lose.
They're one of the
Absolutely.
biggest underdogs in recent history.
What's the money line? Or what's
So
the spread or whatever?
for the last time I saw, as of this morning, and it's just generic Vegas odds. It's not a specific sports book or anything. They had the Celtics at minus 220 to win the series, and then Mavs at plus 180, which is, believe it or not, I mean, some people are going to hear, oh, that's not too bad. I mean, that's pretty big odds for a championship game. I mean, championship series, I should say. As you can see in the highlights, it's just so that first series against the Clippers right here, he was and still hitting those shots. You could see him hobbling around. Second series against OKC, he started getting a little healthier. It just seems like he's starting to hit a stride now. And the X factor, two big X factors are going to be Kyrie and Derek Lively. Which, holy cow, if Derek Lively's who's a rookie by the way, if
Mhm.
he's this good already, like you kind of thought this was maybe his peak when he came out in the draft, he could be a good centerpiece for him for a while, as long as he doesn't get kneed in the back of the head.
I just I wanted to. I'm fully a fan. I'm not going to try to analyze this whatsoever. The only thing I'm going to say is it is Boston's to lose, and I'll be honest. People say like, "Oh, Luka, he might not be ready for the big lights." This, that, and the other. Have y'all seen where he's played when they play in Europe? They set off flares in their arena, and they don't stop in Europe. I
Bro, he's been
guarantee
a
you.
pro.
I guarantee you this. Okay,
Yeah,
if somehow, what's the world governing body of basketball? Is it FIBA?
FIBA.
Is that the actual like governing body of world basketball?
It's one of them.
If
I believe it is though.
if they decided to do a club World Cup like FIFA does, and they took the NBA champion and the European champion, and they played these games in Europe, I can see 100% the atmosphere of a building in Europe being too much for a team in the NBA.
To answer your question, yes, it is FIBA, and I can see that. I mean, we're gonna get kind of a taste of it in the Now, it's granted, it's a little different. It's the Olympics, but dude, I'd be all for a
I
World Cup of basketball.
Well, there technically is a World Cup of basketball,
Yeah,
the
but in
FIBA
it,
World
it's
Cup.
youth. Yeah, but
It's
it's
what?
youth though. I said,
No,
don't they usually focus on? Oh, okay. Oh, I'm wrong
no.
then. Excuse me.
Anthony Davis has played in it. LeBron has played in it. Like it's the problem is it's typically like in August when you're like preseason football. I'm thinking your
Ah,
mind here. You're stuck in preseason football and the FIBA World Cup's happening. Like it's a legit thing. It doesn't
You know
get
what?
the notoriety that the FIFA World Cup gets.
My apologies. You are correct, sir.
Um,
I'm definitely in football mode at that point.
yeah. So, uh, you wouldn't you s I for some reason, I just feel like you're not gonna get the same fans that you would in a European club match in basketball.
Oh no, it's a different
Like,
game.
just
Well,
something
we're getting
it's just
similar
something about the atmosphere at those compared to a World Cup, a Olympics, like, there's just something like, the FIBA World Cup and the Olympics just feel too clean cut,
corporate.
whereas
Lot.
right, whereas the European leagues just feel a little bit renegade and, like the fans just kind of set the atmosphere a little better because it's the club and these like
These people
fans
live and die.
fans elsewhere are more diehard than any fan is here. And I challenge anyone to disagree with me on that
No,
because
dude, I'm not.
they have a video of a guy. It's a Manchester United fan, and they were saying, "Hey, if you could sign this player, would you get rid of this player? Like, if you had to get rid of this player, would you take this player?"
Yeah.
Right? And
Hmm.
they're going through all the players, and I mean they're naming like really big names for other clubs, and he's just like, "No, no, no, no," and they go like, "Oh, would you sign Kevin De Bruyne from Man City? No, because he wears blue. Would you get um McAllister? No, he wears blue." And they're just like naming these players on Man City's roster who just won their fourth straight or their fourth Premier League title. I don't know if it's straight,
It
but they've
doesn't
won
matter. They
a
play for
lot.
them though.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. They wear blue.
Yep.
They asked about a Chelsea player. No, he wears blue. An Everton player. No, he wears blue. Because blue and red, it's like that's a serious thing. Like the color of the shirt that the team wears is serious. And the crest is the biggest thing. We don't have that here.
I was just
We
about
have
to say,
like Saints and Falcons. We're not going to cheer for the Falcons. We're not going to cheer
no,
for
no,
the
no,
Bucks. We're not going to cheer for the Panthers. But if like Joe Burrow makes it to the Super Bowl, we'll cheer for him. Whereas other places, it's nah, fuck that guy.
because I think it's more because those kind of organizations you're talking about started as true, and I know you're going to say like, oh well, the NFL started as clubs. No,
It was
these are
owned by the people.
true.
They were owned by
Yeah,
the people,
exactly,
and
exactly.
there's still places where it's owned by the people. I know
Green Bay, shout out.
Germany has a rule where if you're in the Bundesliga system, you can't have a corporation own it. It has to be owned at least 50% plus one person by the club, I think, or 51%
Yeah,
publicly owned.
and
Um, and
but I definitely
I
think that
love
plays a
that.
major role.
It
Yeah,
does because there was a big thing when RB Leipzig became a powerhouse like they are. Red Bull put in a lot of money and a lot of ownership into that club. And so there was like, whoa, hold on. This is being run by Red Bull. It's not necessarily run by the people who live near Leipzig. And, there was a lot of to do about that, which
yeah.
nothing really panned out because I don't think Leipzig even came close to winning the Bundesliga. So,
But you still got to hold the integrity though.
right. You still like yeah. I mean, you watch a game when the team that lost the UEFA Champions League final. If you watch a game on TV at Borussia Dortmund, there's a stand called the Wall, and it's a solid yellow and black from ground to sky of people singing and jumping and dancing and just being loud and obnoxious. And you know, I'm trying to think of where I had this conversation with somebody. Oh, I take that back. I was watching former Major League Baseball pitcher, now Mexican League pitcher, Trevor Bauer. He's doing vlogs from his time.
Solid stuff.
He's doing, yeah, fantastic, fantastic content that he's
Can I
doing.
stop you real quick for a
Yeah, go ahead.
second? Like, look, I've pitched before, and listening to him break down the game, highly recommend it. We'll get more into baseball as these finals and stuff kind of teeter off a little bit,
When all we
but
have to talk about is baseball.
yeah, exactly. Um,
I can't say that
But
because we'll talk baseball when football season's going on because that'll be playoff time.
of course.
Um,
But I will say the way he breaks down pitch sequencing, and if you ever want to get insight on the game, I highly recommend it. It's incredible.
and it's cool because you see a side like he's bringing you into the locker rooms of these teams. And I mean,
Yeah,
like I've been watching his stuff since he was with the Dodgers. And then like I've gone back and watched like his stuff with the Reds and the COVID year and how crazy it is to watch and just be like, wow, man, that's how it was back then.
yeah. I believe
But
that's
he
4
was
years ago, man.
yeah, I know, right? But he was talking about how like the fans in Mexico are, they're playing music between each pitch. They're all jumping around singing and dancing. And he's like, why is that not a thing in America?
Tradition. It's exactly. But they look. I will say they are getting better about integrating different things. Like I absolutely love the pitch clock. I
No,
think
no,
it's one
no.
of the
I'm not.
best
I'm
things.
not. But I'm not talking baseball. I'm talking sports in general.
Oh well, I
Like,
mean, so
like
if we're talking
biggest.
about
My
music,
biggest thing is like not even talking about music. Just talking about the
oh,
fans.
okay.
Like the interaction with the fans. You go to a soccer game. You're gonna have chants, songs. You know, something to keep the crowd going. They're bringing drums in. They're playing the drums. Whatever. Um, I've been one of those people that has led chants at a soccer game, and not just like the jesters. I mean, like U.S. soccer, U.S. women's soccer. Abby Wambach's last game to be one of those games. Uh, but
For those who don't haven't listened to Joey before, that was a quiet humble brag from Joey right there.
um, but like you don't get that in basketball. You just get defense, defense, and that's it. Like you don't have anything
Yeah,
really pop. You don't have anything that's like catchy. You know, you got the who dat chant at the Saints games. Like, okay, yeah, you could break that out,
yeah. I
but
mean,
other
it's
than that,
just
we're just loud. Um,
it's
you
just
know,
loud. I was about to say football was really the only one I could think of off the top of my head where you can't do a lot of fan engagement like that just because of the way the game's played. I do agree with you. Basketball could use some better ones, but they do try. I do like the fan engagement that basketball does in between like TV timeouts, everything like that. Shout out to the Pelicans; they do a great job um, with their in-game entertainment. But I do think, yeah, some other chants would probably be better. Keep it more
like
engaged.
um when like I'm a Chelsea fan, okay? They have like they'll have songs for like a player, okay? And it's like simple stuff. If like they had to play Frank Lampard, their thing was super, super Frank, super, super Frank, super, super Frank, super Frankie Lampard. And they would repeat that, right? Then you've got like somebody, and people have written this, you know, like one of flying high up in the sky will keep the blue flag flying high from Stamford Bridge to Wembley. We'll keep the blue flag flying high. And they sing that during the game out loud, like with all the passion in the world. And
I just don't know if
it
anybody's gonna
just
do that nowadays. Come up with new stuff. You
nobody,
know what I mean?
nobody's going to. And we're stuck in this rut that I mean, it's just like you're not gonna have, you know, you're not gonna have somebody singing, you know, oh, when the Saints go marching in the dome during play to get the whole dome singing it.
No.
Like you'll get the who dat chant. That's it. You'll get MVP chants. You'll get defense. You'll get, um,
Yeah,
you know, it,
it's
it's
definitely
it's
an area
it's
that needs to be explored a little bit more.
right, but it's never. I don't think it's ever going to happen because unless basketball and hockey are probably the two sports that it could most likely happen, and I just don't see NBA fans. The problem with NBA fans, and you see it every time, like the Lakers show up, or like some of these teams that just have this superstar on the roster, they come see that player. They don't see the team. No one's interested in seeing D'Angelo Russell. They're interested in seeing LeBron James. Not that they're on the team together anymore, but like you catch my drift. You're not going to see you're not going to go to a Timberwolves game, not a Timberwolves game. Yeah, Timberwolves game.
Yeah,
You're not going to
Timberwolves.
their
You're right.
game.
You're right.
You're not going to their game to see Rudy Gobert play. You're going to see Anthony Edwards play.
No, 100%. Yeah.
And you're going to more than likely have fans from the other team come in and be like, yeah, we're going to be louder than you. The number of times I've gone to Pelicans games and like the other team is outsold. Like one of the first games I remember when the Pelicans became the Pelicans, we were playing the Knicks that had Carmelo Anthony on the team. And I guarantee you, if I walked around to most of those Knicks fans and told them to name, other than Carmelo Anthony, name a current player, they couldn't. They just wanted to see Carmelo Anthony because
Well, in their
it is
fairness, Joey.
we're in this time with basketball where basketball players have more power than the teams do. So the brand of the player is almost kind of trying to outweigh the team. Like when
So that's a
LeBron was
fascinating.
but when LeBron was on the Cavs, what was bigger, his brand or the Cavs brand?
Well, I'm gonna. So no, it was definitely his brand, but that is by design by the league. That goes all the way back to Magic Johnson and Larry Bird, because before them the league was failing, 100% failing. So they made a conscious decision off the
It's
popularity from the Indiana State and Michigan
Michigan.
State
Yeah.
final to basically lift these two guys up and say, "Hey, look, we're making it about the players. These are the two bright spots. Let's market them and get them in the limelight and sell our product more." So that's where it all started. I do agree the whole player empowerment thing did get a little bit out of hand. At one point, there's some bigger checks and balances where now they just get paid a lot more to stay with their team, right?
Like so to bring it to something that I can kind of speak more toward. NASCAR used to have they have this family, the France family, who founded NASCAR. And if you ever get to hear the story of how it truly started and where it came from, give it a listen. It's interesting to learn. But Big Bill France, son, Bill France Jr., during the times like the 80s and the 90s, would tell drivers, listen, this this sport is going to be here longer than you're going to be here. Like when you're gone, this sport's going to continue on. Basically saying that
Yeah.
the sport is bigger than, like, we don't need you. And he would tell that to like Dale Earnhardt, 7-time champion, the Intimidator.
Oh,
Like
I don't think
Dale,
we're there yet, though.
there's a famous story that the movie Days of Thunder kind of played off of.
Mhm.
I want to say it was Jeff Bodine and Dale Earnhardt kept wrecking each other and kept wrecking each other and kept wrecking each other. And so they had to go to dinner together and they had to ride together. So they had to go to dinner with NASCAR and they had to ride together, like them two get in a car and drive to the dinner spot. And like, think of it like this: like, if you and me are racing and I'm wrecking you every week and you're wrecking me every other week that I'm not wrecking you, like, then we have to sit in a car together and drive together.
It's punishment.
Right. That's what they had to do. They ended up I think they ended up kind of getting over it. Like they just kind of said, listen, we're on different ends of the spectrum. But like, we don't have that anymore in the NBA. The player has become almost like the NBA will last longer than LeBron James will.
Yeah, no, they've definitely.
But if, like, Draymond Green, okay, he keeps getting in trouble. Has anybody ever told him, listen, this basketball sport doesn't need you in it? We can keep going.
No, because the problem is with Draymond, and the problem is with Draymond is that he was good at with the Warriors early on. It's just I don't know where the hell these antics are coming from now with that. But yeah, he's kind of becoming more of the team. And you hear some of the guys are like, all right, look, dude, you can't keep doing this stuff. Like that's a whole different story. But I get what you're saying though.
It's coming up now, but like you also don't have something where it's, like the players are starting to get fed up. You don't have something. He's not like grossly injuring players to the point where they're like paralyzed and all that.
But you don't need a dude throwing elbows and like choking you and doing all and kick. First of all, I have no respect for him because he just blatantly just decides
Kicks
to
people in
just
the nards.
in the groin. Yeah, for no, like I'm sorry, just because you suck and can't guard me doesn't mean to kick me in the balls.
Yeah.
Like, so
That's
I don't
one
want
of
to get
those
on
moments.
Draymond thing.
Yeah, that's one of those moments, though. I think what should have happened was, hey, he kicked me in the nuts. Okay, on another play when he's on defense, I'm just gonna eat the foul and I'm going to shove him as hard as I can into something to hurt him. He
No, it
didn't
was
get
even
that.
better.
He didn't get that. He didn't get that beating per se enough in the NBA for people to be like, "Hey, man, cut this shit out."
So I will say, I mean, look, but you say like he didn't get a real big punishment for it, but when it was a ticky tack foul, and I will say that 100% on LeBron, and they suspended him for Game 5 of the NBA Finals, and that's when
That
Cleveland.
was nonsense.
No, that's his past transgressions. You
Oh yeah,
don't keep doing that stuff.
yeah. When you
To
do the
him.
heavy stuff and keep not getting called for it, eventually when you do the light stuff, it's going to get called.
Yeah,
Hands
they're gonna
down.
call it and they're gonna suspend you. Look at
Yeah.
perfect example, Vontaze Burfict, probably suspended
Right.
for the entirety of his career from now on.
Yep.
Me and you are objective football fans. We can look at it and say, that last hit, I think it was on Jack Doyle, if I'm not mistaken. It's
Mhm.
been a few years. You gotta was
I
not
mean,
that bad
he's
of a
the
hit.
reason. Isn't he the reason that Antonio Brown's probably the way he is right now?
Yeah, because the other
Like,
reason is
isn't it?
just way too
But isn't
sad.
it? No, but like, yeah, like, isn't it? Isn't everyone sitting there looking at it, I say jokingly, but like they point at like that's the hit that got him started
Yeah.
to be
I
off the
mean,
rails.
God. And I'm gonna digress for a second. Dude, like everybody just remembers crazy Antonio Brown or whatever. Man, you go back and look at this dude's numbers and highlights and stuff. Bro, there's a real discussion if he wasn't crazy as all could be and all the
Hall of Fame.
off-field stuff.
Hall of Fame.
Yeah, 100% could be a discussion of the Hall of Fame.
Did he? Okay. Did he win a Super Bowl other than with
No,
Tampa? No. Okay.
no, no, no.
It
He
was
did
only
not. But
okay.
you go look at those numbers. It's insane what he did
Oh,
in
without a
Pittsburgh.
doubt. Without a doubt. Like
We
he
could
was
do
a
an entire
phenomenal player.
expose episode on Antonio Brown.
I don't know
Just
that
the
we
last
want to
3 months of his
expose him
career.
anymore than he already has himself.
Well, okay, I wasn't talking about that, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, no,
And
I know.
if anybody doesn't know what we're talking about, go look at the Dubai video from him in the hotel pool. Okay. Anyway, so I do want to bring up one last thing here, and we can. Speaking of we can do the big dummy of the week on this one. Not even gonna try to say his first name, but for those of you who don't know, an infielder for for the Padres, Marcana, I believe is how you say his last name. Not even gonna try his first name. You gonna get dummy of the week, bud. Big old dummy of the week. You can go march yourself right next to Pete Rose, sit there, take your lifetime ban, and Joey, what if I told you, hey, this guy did 300 plus bets? I know there's a specific number, but I don't know what it is. Give me a percentage number on how many you think he would win without being biased because you already know the answer. You would assume for him to keep doing,
If
you're assuming
if
30.
for him to keep going and to like to
Risk what he's
get in
risking.
trouble to get a lifetime ban, you would expect him to probably win at least 45, maybe 35% of his bets.
Yeah. What if I told you run 4?
Why is he betting? Why is he betting?
As somebody that likes to sports gamble, I'm gonna let you know now. Nobody knows how, and nobody has it perfectly figured out. And the house is going to win the majority of the time. I understand that, but 4%, homie, dude. After a certain point, why don't you just give up? You're making like even league minimum is a few hundred K, right? Like, why are you doing this? What I really, really, really want to know. And people are gonna say, "Oh, well, it's because they have such close access. There's 2 clicks of a button, and they bet." No, it's self control.
Yeah.
I said this years ago when they were talking about when all these NFL players get popped for cannabis. Like, I don't see the issue in it. But guess what? You tell me Tyler, you get millions of dollars to play a game. All you have to not do is smoke weed or gamble. Guess what Tyler's not doing? Smoking weed or gambling. And I just don't get it. It's going to be there after you retire, man. Make your money, and if you want to gamble it afterwards, then cool, dude. It's sad. It's it really is. It's a shame, and it's a lifetime ban. Just don't bet on your sport either, right? Like, I don't think they have that big of an issue if you bet on basketball or like if you're a baseball player or football. If you're a baseball player, like just bet on different sports, but you cannot. And I mean, the reason why he got the lifetime ban was there was 25. I remember this number: 25 bets made on the Pirates while he was playing for him. Not a single one hit. I don't mean to brag on this guy anymore, but I'm sorry. If that's not a definition of a loser, I don't know what is.
Uh, I don't understand it because, I'm dumbfounded by it all. Like like you said, you have all this money. Why even?
So I get the thrill of sports gambling, right? You throw a few bucks on a
Yeah,
game, it makes it
no,
a little more interesting.
I get
I
it
get
too.
that.
But when you already make money, you're already pretty much gambling your life away by playing a sport. Like,
I
yeah.
like and it's really just a shame. I mean, there's a few other guys. I think they had 4 other players suspended for like a year or something
Mhm.
because they were betting on different. They're betting on baseball. So if I remember correctly, the rule is that you can't bet on baseball, and you for sure cannot bet on your own team to win or lose.
Yeah,
And I hate to say it for those people that are like, oh well, it's all because of the rise of like FanDuel and DraftKings and all these other sports gambling apps. It just wasn't in the public's limelight before. You know what I mean? Like you just went to a bookie or went to Vegas.
yeah,
The problem is with a bookie is you get in over your skis and you have a Ipe Mitsuharu case with Shohei.
right.
I
Which
will say
he did get cleared. I did see that he's cleared of the MLB investigation.
I did see that as well, but man, that is not stopping Twitter from literally dropping. Like as soon as the story came up, and they'd be like, "Yeah, guy should have had an interpreter."
Yeah, right. Uh,
uh,
so I have a dummy of the week.
Even better,
You ready?
please enlighten us.
It is the entire Indiana Fever franchise.
Oh boy! All right, well let's buckle up. I already know where this is kind
How?
of going, but let's.
Okay. I don't know what this problem is, and it's like it is what it is. I don't understand
Mhm.
this problem with Caitlin Clark, but why, when she's getting beat up like she is, are you not protecting her or coming to her defense? Like, clearly y'all sucked last year because y'all got the number 1 pick. So
Let me
why?
tell you something.
So why? Like, why are you letting these players just rough her up? Look, I'm not going to get into the why people are watching more WNBA. I'm not.
Take it easy,
I think
McAfee.
it should be. I think it should be no, but it's people like Angel Reese and Caitlin Clark, and I'm
It's
blanking
a
on the girl's
talent.
name from. It's talent. Yeah, the talent is finally starting to catch up, but you know she's the reason you have the number of games on national TV that you do. Maybe you should protect that, especially considering that's your teammate. If
Okay.
anything, in my head, if I'm somebody who, like, let's say I'm a GM for, I don't know, what city just got a WNBA franchise? Toronto?
I believe so.
Golden
Yes.
State got one too, or
I know
Oakland,
Golden.
San
Yeah.
Francisco area got the Bay
The
Area.
Bay.
If I'm the new GM of that and you want to come play for me, I don't know that I want to sign you because you're not going to defend your teammate. Like
So
that's a pretty big deal. Like defend your teammate.
it's also a thing, and just doing the other side of it, right?
Yeah,
Talk about our
yeah.
teammates and stuff.
Devil's advocate.
Devil's advocate.
Mhm.
I agree with you. There should be more teammate teammates helping her out and everything like that. But I think at a certain point, she's also a rookie, man. She's got to get stronger. She's going to take her lumps.
I
You know,
agree. I agree. But when you have 2 wins on the year, let's, in the games she does well, or the games that she had done well, y'all had won. And the game she scored 3 points, I don't think they didn't win that game.
no.
So it's also, again, your teammate, your coworker. They share a locker room. Be a better teammate.
You know what they need to do, Indiana? What they should have done, they should have gotten an enforcer. They should have got somebody like
That's
Charles Oakley back in the day. I'm trying to think of somebody now, man. It's a real big
Draymond.
enforcer. Draymond,
Draymond.
yeah, we'll even go Draymond, right?
I consider him more of a
Agitator.
instigator,
Instigator.
agitator. But
I get what you're saying.
Yeah, they need
It's the
that.
badass of the team.
They need that.
They need a little, because what should happen is, like we used to see in the old school '90s, is if somebody touched Michael Jordan, Charles Oakley was coming in and fucking lighting the ass up.
Yeah,
you weren't.
You think Wayne Gretzky? You think Wayne Gretzky was going to fight anybody? No, he had
heck no.
Paul Coffey or somebody like that. He had people that would come up and jack a dude up.
Yeah, giving them the space to do what he has to do, and that's the same thing that's happened with her.
You think Alexander Ovechkin's getting in a fight? No, that's what they got Tom Wilson for.
That's what I'm saying. I mean, anytime you see a quarterback get hit, who's the first people that are in there? Offensive linemen.
Yeah, it's common sense in sports. Hey, this girl is a rookie, but she's probably one of the best players on the team because she can shoot the 3. Let's get her open because she'll make it from wherever on the court and help us win. I don't care what,
let me ask you one thing though. About it. Yep. Do you think with the coverage from ESPN, covers national media and everything like that, do you think it kind of reached like a Tebow level of ad nauseum, and maybe her teammates are kind of like, whatever, she's a golden girl, she can figure it out?
I'm gonna steal a joke from the Tom Brady roast.
Okay.
And it's not, I'm not going for that part of it. I'm not going for the bad part. I'm going for this other part. So the joke was Tony Hinchcliffe about Nikki Glazer. She has such a bad eating disorder, they're shoving her down our throat.
Oh, classic.
That's what this feels like. Like that's the only way to describe this. And I'm not making fun of people with eating disorders. It's a terrible thing.
No.
I'm not. But that's what it feels like. You sit down to watch something. Oh, you watch a Chiefs game. I can't tell you the name of the offensive lineman that constantly should be called for false starts because all they talk about is Taylor Swift.
Oh, I can tell you who it is. It's Juwan
I know you can radio, but I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the fact that the casual fan cannot name another person on the Indiana Fever because the only person they know is Caitlin Clark.
That is very true, because I could definitely not tell you another player.
I had a talk with a coworker this week, or not this week, during the women's tournament. And he goes, "Did you ever hear of Iowa women's basketball before Caitlin Clark?" I said, "Are you going to hear about Iowa women's basketball after Caitlin Clark?" No, because ESPN has, and the media has, this fascination of shoving people down your throat to the point where you can't stand them.
Well, we won't get into it here, but I think we can both agree we know why she's very talented. Let's not take anything away from her. She is very, very good.
Yeah.
But the discussions of her playing in the NBA and blah, 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 all this stuff, it's like, look, she's very, very good. Pat McAfee already said while we watch her, or why more people are watching it, so we won't reiterate it and start all that drama again. But he's not he's not super far off, because I think that's really where the media is kind of being like, "Ooh, look, shiny, new," kind of thing. So, and plus she gets people talking.
Yeah.
But let's not. I do think Angel Reese is getting a little bit of hate when she goes, "Oh, she could have said a little better, but she's just saying, like, look, we're a part of this too. Like, I'm a part of this growth as well. And I'll disagree with her. I think when she pointed at her ring finger after they won, I think that really kind of sparked everything. But oh man, what a great time right now in sports, right?
Man, it's like it's in the news more than most news.
Oh, well, thank God, because the world has been very sad lately.
Yes.
But Broseph, is there anybody else you want to cover in this dummy of the week, or anybody else you want to talk about before we wrap this good old show we have up?
I'll do a quick another dummy of the week because I think it's really stupid. In the world of NASCAR, they have the playoffs, which that's a whole nother episode for a whole nother day. And in order to get to the playoffs, you have to race in every race of the regular season. Well, then if you miss a race for whatever reason, you can apply for a waiver. They've said, we're only going to do the waiver if you're injured. If it's an injury, like if you're in the car and say you get a concussion, you have to miss a couple races, you can apply for the waiver. We'll give it to you. Kyle Larson attempted the double, didn't get a chance to race in the Coke 600, and they had to apply for a waiver. Well, this took 2 weeks to figure out for reasons I don't understand why.
Yeah, right.
They gave a waiver to a guy who was suspended by NASCAR. He got a waiver when he was suspended. Why is it an argument?
Who's declaring the waivers? NASCAR?
Yes. This decision, supposedly because it took so long, they were thinking that this decision was coming from the top. So like Jim France, like the top of the top.
And top.
I was hearing, Door Bumper Clear, which is a NASCAR podcast, was talking about it, and they said, the only reason he wouldn't get a waiver is because he didn't choose to be at the start of the Coke 600. He chose to stay in Indy, which I see that sentiment, but at the same time, him racing in the Indy 500 only helps NASCAR. Him racing in the Indy 500 only helps your brand by saying, look, we can go to Indy and we can win this race. Plus the amount of money that was put in. Yeah. Plus the amount of money and manpower that was put into that. There was one person who could have gotten in the car if Kyle Larson couldn't, but he's retired.
Yeah,
and
but I mean,
he didn't drive the car. And, Rick Hendrick didn't put his name on the car for that guy to drive. He put his name on the car for Kyle Larson to drive it. But, say that part, he didn't even try. He did try. He tried every bit he could. He made it to the pit box to get in the car. Granted, he wouldn't have been given the points, but he would have finished the race. If it didn't rain. Now, the argument of whether or not he deserves a waiver or not, NASCAR's made it pretty clear that if you get suspended for right rearing a guy directly into the wall at 190 miles an hour to the point where you could seriously injure him in the cars that have shown that these guys can get concussions and all that stuff to prevent them from racing, you're going to give that guy a waiver? Why are we even arguing Kyle Larson? So
because they're being petty as shit.
You get my second dummy of the week for that. Like, it should have been cut and dry. You get it.
Dummy.
So I'm sure I'm going to never be allowed on a NASCAR race again.
You'll be fine.
We'll get you to the holler.
Nice little mustache or something.
Yeah. The old, was it Bobby Valentine when he got thrown out of the Mets game and he was standing in the dugout with the glasses and the mustache?
Well, on that note, thanks again for joining us for episode 8, Broseph. Episode 8. We'll be back next time with another episode. Keep it classy. See y'all later. Broseph.